Hey guys, it's a noticeably different feeling today because it almost feels like fall. There's a noticeably different temperature. I walked out this morning, it was overcast, it was kind of cool. Today we're getting up to I think 83, and then for the rest of the week, it's below 80 the entire time. Today I'm going to be tackling the Mediterranean herb garden. It has gotten very overgrown. There's 2 times a year to prune Mediterranean herbs. And that's herbs like thyme, oregano, lavender, rosemary. Great pruning times would be the spring and the early fall. I missed the spring one. That's why they look like that right now. They're a little overgrown. I might lose a couple. The thyme doesn't look that great. These herbs have been here for about 3 years. And we live in a Mediterranean climate, so they're at home here. We don't have to take any special precautions or anything, especially in the winter. They thrive on dry, nutrient-poor soil, and that's what they've got here. I've never added compost. I've never added any kind of fertilizer to them. They get regular water, but it's a very little amount. So I need to get in here. There's a couple of rules when it comes to woody herbs, and that is that you don't cut down past the growth, the green growth. So if you go past that green growth, there's a chance that it's not going to come back. Now here in a Mediterranean climate, it's not quite as strict as that, but I want to try to keep to the rules as much as possible. You also don't want to remove more than 1/3 of the plant at a time. Again, there's a little bit of leeway in a Mediterranean climate for that. If you live somewhere with a hard first frost, you want to make sure that you get this pruning done 4 to 6 weeks prior to your average first frost date in the fall or winter. We're well ahead of that here. We don't get frost hardly ever, and if so, it's usually in January, February. So sticking as close as I can to these rules, I'm going to get in here and clean this up. The other thing we're going to do today, I'm going to take some more rosemary cuttings and do some more work on our rosemary bed. Joel and I got started digging this bed out Saturday, and I'm going to continue today. Fortunately, the weather is cooler, plus I've got my sunshade. Once this bed is finished, I will have a short, tightly clipped rosemary hedge around the entire border of it, front and back. And in the middle, it's just going to be complete lavender with 4 Italian cypress equidistantly placed along the middle of the bed. I've got about 60 cuttings here that have taken and survived. There's a couple of dead spots, but for the most part, they did great. But I need a lot more than 60 to ring this bed. Plus, I'm putting some up in the cottage garden as well. I should show you that because I got questions on this. A lot of you have asked if I'm going to be closing in the bottoms of both sides of the door. Well, I am, but not with like a hardscape material. I'm going to be doing it with rosemary hedge. Look, the mums right here. You can't tell that that's open behind there just like this is. So rosemary hedge on both sides of the door. We'll replace the mums back in there around the bottom of the chimney and all the way to the edge of the building. So fortunately, rosemary is really easy to take cuttings from. If you have any thriving rosemary plant, I'll show you how to do that a little bit later in the video. But right now, I'm gonna get started cleaning that bed out, making it look tidy. And here in a Mediterranean climate, those lavender will start blooming again this fall. Okay, I'm pausing the cutting back right now because I found this lavender. Well, I didn't find it, it's right here. But I noticed that there's a lot of new growth coming up past the old faded blooms. This is great growth for cuttings, and I've got a lot of it. So instead of buying lavender to fill that bed out there, why not just take cuttings for myself? It's free. So I've mixed up a really well-draining mix of peat, 2 parts peat, approximately, 1 part perlite, 1 part sand. Got it in a tray here. I'm probably gonna do 2 or 3 trays to get me 50 to 75 plants. So I'm gonna take about 6 inches here. Gonna strip off all of the little leaves besides the top few, just to keep it from transpiring too much. And just insert it into the compost. It's a couple days later. I took a break from pruning the herbs because I was pruning them all with Felcos, just some hand pruners. And that got to be quite frustrating. It was taking forever. So I went to look for my hedge trimmers. I had the hedge trimmers, had the battery, couldn't find the charger. So I had to order a new charger, got here last night, charged the battery up. Now I'm going to continue on a much quicker version of cutting back these herbs. All right, so this video isn't ending how I thought it would. So my first plan was to re-gravel. Well, first of all, let me show you this. So I can't say that it looks so much better than before, but it is cleaner. And I ended up breaking all the rules. The don't cut into dead wood, the don't take away more than 1/3 of the plant. As you can see, yeah, I broke those rules. I don't know if that'll be a problem. It never has been in the past. However, I looked back because I couldn't figure out why these were getting so big and so woody, because I had to cut them back into the wood because they were just so big. And so I looked back and I don't see that I pruned these in spring, which I didn't think I did. I also don't think I pruned them last fall. So that's the problem here. So whether they grow back or not, I don't know. And that's what I was starting to say, is that I was gonna re-gravel this, because as you can see, there's gravel. It just got, we had a couple of gophers in here last year and they kind of mixed the dirt around with the gravel. And also just all of the dead flowers and leaves and stuff covered the gravel over, and I could only blow off so much or rake up so much. Anyway, I was gonna go and re-gravel that, and that was gonna be the finish of the video. It was gonna look nice and clean and new, but I don't know how many of these plants are gonna grow back. I really don't. Plus, this right here, which I forget the name right now, I'm gonna be taking out of here because it's not a Mediterranean herb. When I got it, it looked Mediterranean. It is drought resistant, and basically I didn't have another place to put it. And so it went here. That was 3 years ago. It doesn't belong here anymore. And in fact, even though it's drought resistant, the flowers look very tropical on it. So it'll be going into the tropical sun garden. And I don't want to have to mess up the new gravel digging this out. Plus, if none of these come back, I'm not sure what I will do with this section, because I had mentioned before that eventually this will be our outdoor kitchen. So how much time, energy, money, effort do I want to put into this when it's going to be taken out eventually anyway? I ended up taking some more rosemary cuttings. I've got just over 100 cuttings here. And rosemary cuttings are a little bit easier than lavender cuttings. You can just cut the stems, take off most of the leaves on the stem, and then just stick them in water. And within 2 to 3 weeks, keep the water clean, meaning change it out every once in a while. You'll have roots, and then you can pot them up, or you can even put them directly into the ground if you keep the ground well watered. So I want to end this video with a congratulations to our winner of our hashtag Tomato Challenge 2025 contest. The winner is 605 Living, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. As you know, I was doing this challenge with Chad over at Down Home Backyard Gardening, so I'm going to let him tell you the details of the winning tomato. Take it away, Chad.
All right, hey Brian, thank you for letting me join you in congratulating this year's hashtag Tomato Challenge 2025 winner. 605 Living, you are the winner. So congrats on your big win. And I've got to say, you grew 4 tomatoes, and if my math is right, those 4 tomatoes were over 7 pounds combined weight. That is nuts. Like, awesome. So she slayed it, y'all. Slayed it. Over 2-pound tomato. Awesome. So, Brian, again, thank you for letting me jump in here with you and congratulate her. But now, back to you, brother.
All right, guys, I'll see you next time.